Welcome back to The Haunted Beard, everybody. My name is Jake. Thank you for joining me. So just a few weeks ago, I was sent a screener for this film called Name the Demon. And this is a demonic possession, exorcism, found footage film. And just wanted to give you some thoughts. So real quick though, before I get into it, I just want to give a little shout out and a thank you to the people at the Name the Demon team who emailed me and reached out and sent me a screener for this. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's get into my review. So Name the Demon tells the story of David, a husband who is trying to save his wife Anna, who has become possessed by a demon. And this all takes place over the course of one night. And one of the cool things about this movie is it is actually a single shot film. With the exception of just the first couple minutes, the rest of the film all takes place at one location at their home over the course of one night and is all done in one continuous take. Now, from what I could tell, I think there's at least maybe 2 or 3 hidden edits, but it is presented in a way as if it is just one continual real-time take. And Name the Demon is a film that I did have some issues with, but also did enjoy certain elements of it. And look, this is a very limited, low-budget type found footage film, almost like a DIY type found footage, as it's just very kind of stripped-down, basic type thing. Again, all one location, just a few cast of characters, one continuous take kind of thing. And so there is an aspect about that works pretty well. But there's some other stuff also that I kind of had some issues with that doesn't work quite as well either. The biggest issue that I had with this, and the number one thing that I think hurt the film from being better than it was, is the acting. And the acting here it's a little tough. It's a little rough. And acting for me is kind of one of those things. It's like it either works or it doesn't. I either believe it or I don't. You know, I buy into, I'm convinced of the performances or I'm not. So unfortunately, the acting didn't do the film any favors. Just some of the line delivery is pretty stiff and it's just not very believable. There is an element to the acting that I think provided some authenticity because this is all done in, again, one continuous take. It feels real in some ways because the actors, there's kind of the uhs and ums, and a couple times they almost kind of stutter over some of their lines, which I actually appreciated a little bit because, again, it kind of made it feel more real. But then some of the times it made it felt like they probably should have done this again sort of thing. And that's kind of the risk you run with doing the one-take presentation to where, you know, if everybody doesn't hit exactly, you know, what needs to happen, you kind of run that risk of, that could have been a little bit better, but is it worth going back and reshooting the entire thing all over again sort of deal. I will say, though, one exception to the acting is the performance by the wife, Anna, who's the one who's actually possessed by the demon. She does a pretty good job, and I think really her performance is probably the most important one, that the acting needed to be good, and it is good. The only downside to that is she's probably only in about 25% of the movie. And so the scenes where she is, where you get the kind of, you know, demonic possession type stuff and her performance, I thought she did a pretty good job. The rest of it, though, it's a little rough. I do appreciate the very kind of minimalistic, stripped down approach. Again, I think large of that is probably due to the budget, but I think there is an aspect of it that it works fairly well. I typically like my found footage kind of more minimal, at least in a lot of instances, not always, but it just kind of makes it feel more realistic and authentic sort of thing, to where, you know, there's not a whole lot of post-production editing. There's not, you know, a soundtrack and a score and stuff like that. I feel like oftentimes that kind of hinders and takes away from the authenticity of it. And so I think there is an element of that authenticity that works pretty well. And also, too, I think the filmmaker should be commended a little bit for some of the makeup effects and some of the practical effects stuff. Again, all of this at least seemingly having to be done live and in camera as they're filming. And so you get some cool kind of makeup practical effects with a little bit of blood and gore and stuff like that I can imagine was not the easiest thing to kind of figure out and plan. And so I think there is part of that element that it works pretty well for what they're trying to do. This is a film that Look, it doesn't do anything we haven't seen before. We've seen movies like this. We've seen stories like this. It doesn't reinvent the wheel type deal. We've seen stuff like this before. There's not too many surprises along the way, but it's a movie that the pacing is at least good enough to it kept me interested and invested enough throughout the film. It's only like 75 minutes, so it moves along pretty quickly. So, look, overall, I think this is a film that, if you like found footage like myself, and even ones that I would say are more kind of the mid-tier, I can still find some parts and some aspects to appreciate about it. And this is a movie that if you have any kind of interest or passion about supporting, low-budget indie filmmakers who are just out there trying to make stuff and get their name out there and, get their film out there and seen by people. This is a film that's actually going to be available to watch on Friday, October 4th. You'll be able to watch it on a handful of different platforms, including Amazon, Tubi, and right here on YouTube. So, click on it, check it out, give it a watch, and, help support the film a little bit. So, those are my thoughts on Name the Demon. Once again, thank you guys so much at the Name the Demon team for reaching out and sending me a screener. I really do appreciate it. So, that's all I got for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.